Max put all his money into one stock. One single stock. 3 months later, it dropped 94%. Max didn't cry. Max laughed, hysterically, on the floor in his pajamas. Why? I'll tell you. And why this might be the best financial mistake you ever make. Once. Meet Max. Regular guy. Loves coffee. Doesn't love reading fine print. One day, Max heard the word diversification. He thought, sounds complicated. Not for me. Max opened a brokerage account. He saw a stock for a company that made phone chargers. He thought, everyone uses phones. This is a forever business. Bulletproof logic. Like a coffee maker, with a hole in it. Max put in everything. His salary, his vacation fund, the money he'd saved for a new couch. He even borrowed a bit from his neighbor, Bob. Bob, if you're watching, hi. We'll pay you back soon. Friends said, maybe spread it across a few companies? Max said, why? I found the perfect stock.
Whoa!
Spoiler, perfect stocks don't exist.
What?
Neither do perfect relationships after assembling an IKEA closet together. 3 months went by, calm and quiet. The stock kept climbing. Max was already picturing a yacht. Not a big yacht, a modest one, with one jacuzzi. Then, breaking news. The charger company announces, turns out their chargers occasionally set phones on fire. Not all of them, just some, just sometimes. Friday nights. Totally random. The stock dropped 40% in one day. Max didn't panic. Max told himself, this is temporary. The market's overreacting.
Yeah.
The next day, it dropped another 30%. Max started panicking. A little. On day 3, the CEO resigned, via a personal video, from a beach in Bali, wearing parrot print shorts. The stock dropped another 24%. Total, minus 94%. What Max had left was just enough for one trip to a coffee shop. No pastry. Psychologists say there are 5 stages of grief. Max went through 7, with a lunch break. Stage 1, denial. Max checked the app every 10 minutes, hoping the numbers were a glitch. Stage 2, anger. Max yelled at the stock out loud. The stock didn't respond. Rude. Stage 3, bargaining. Max emailed the company. Could you maybe give back half? I was with you from the start.
Huh?
No reply. The company was busy going bankrupt. Stage 4, depression. Max ate cereal for 3 days straight. Dry, no milk, because milk was an unnecessary expense. Stage 5, calling his friend Paul. Paul is the friend who reads finance books instead of watching shows. Weird guy, but exactly the friend Max needed right now. Paul listened to the whole story, didn't laugh, even though he really wanted to. Paul asked, how many different assets did you have? Max proudly answered, 1, but what a stock it was. Paul sighed, pulled out a notebook, drew a picture. 1 boat, 1 passenger, 1 hole in the bottom. That's your portfolio, Paul said. Then he drew a second picture. 10 boats, 1 passenger each. 1 boat also has a hole, but the other 9 sail along just fine. And that's diversification, Paul said. Max stared at the drawing like he'd just seen the meaning of life. Really, he'd just finally understood why his financial advisor, his mom, always said, don't put all your eggs in one basket. He used to think that was just about breakfast. Paul explained, diversification isn't buy 10 tech stocks. It's buy different types of assets that behave differently in different situations. Stocks, bonds, real estate, maybe a little gold. Each asset is like a character with its own personality. Stocks are that friend who's either on top of the world or crying in a corner, different every week. Bonds are the calm neighbor who's never in a rush and never full of surprises. Real estate is slow, reliable, but if things go wrong, you can't sell it quickly. Like that couch you bought forever and now can't get out of your apartment. Gold is the old grandfather who trusts nobody, but suddenly turns out to be the smartest person in the room during a crisis. Max listened and thought, so I was the guy who invited only 1 person to the party, and that person turned out to be toxic. Exactly, Max. Exactly. Paul kept the torture of knowledge going. Even if you only hold stocks, don't put it all in one industry. Max remembered. His charger company was in the electronics industry. If all of electronics had crashed at once, it would have been even worse. Paul gave an example. Imagine an investor who put everything into oil companies right before the world suddenly decided to switch to electric cars. Or someone who put everything into one region right before a local economic crisis. One sector drops, a diversified portfolio just wobbles a little. One sector drops, an undiversified portfolio goes straight to the bottom. With an orchestra playing. Max pictured himself as a ship's captain who deliberately punched a hole in his own hull to make things more interesting. Max is a man of action, though not always smart action. He decided to run an experiment. He took what was left, that coffee without pastry amount, and split it into 5 parts. Part 1, a stock index fund. Part 2, bonds. Part 3, a little gold. Part 4, a real estate fund. Part 5, for the experiment, a lottery ticket. Because Max wasn't fully reformed yet. The ticket didn't win. Bad idea. Don't try this at home. But the other 4 parts started behaving very differently from each other. When stocks dipped a bit on inflation news, bonds held steady. When bonds wobbled from a rate change, gold quietly ticked up. When the whole market got nervous over another geopolitical headline, the real estate fund just kept paying rental income like nothing happened. Max looked at his portfolio and, for the first time in a long while, felt no panic. He felt bored. Paul said, "Congratulations, a boring portfolio is a successful portfolio." A few months later, something nobody expected happened. That same charger company, yes, the one that bankrupted Max, suddenly found a new investor. Turns out the technology wasn't that bad. The marketing was just a disaster. The stock went up 12 times in 6 months. If Max had held on, he'd be rich. But Max sold at the bottom, in a panic, after losing 94%. Here's the irony. If Max had had a diversified portfolio from the start, he wouldn't have sold in a panic because one bad position wouldn't have wrecked his whole life. He could have just waited. Diversification doesn't just protect you from losses, it protects you from yourself, from panic, from impulsive decisions at 3 a.m. Max realized this sitting at his kitchen table, finishing his cereal. With milk now. Life was improving. A year passed. Max is a different person, disciplined, calm, no longer emailing bankrupt companies. He built his portfolio like a grown-up. Core piece, a broad index fund. Simple, cheap, reliable. Like an old backpack that never lets you down. A bond allocation, for moments when the market needs to catch its breath. A small slice of international assets, because the whole world shouldn't depend on how one country's doing. A pinch of gold, in case everything around him is on fire, literally or figuratively. And yes, a small, fun money portion, for those risky ideas he still wants to try. But now it's 5%, not 100%, and not borrowed from neighbor Bob. Bob, by the way, finally got his money back. Late, but with a smile. A year and a half later, the market scared everyone again. Headlines screamed, "Crash! Meltdown! Everything's gone!" Sound familiar? Old Max would have been crying on the floor by now. New Max opened the app, saw his portfolio was down a modest 8%, shrugged, and went to get coffee. Not because he didn't care, because he knew his portfolio was built to survive days like this, without drama. His coworker, who, like old Max, had put everything into one hot stock, lost half his savings that day. He called Max in a panic. Max listened, poured himself more coffee and said, "Dude, you need a Paul. Diversification isn't about maximizing your gains. It's about not losing everything on one bad Tuesday. It's boring. It doesn't make for a flashy success story on social media, but boring portfolios are exactly what let people sleep at night. Instead of counting sheep mid-panic attack, Max could have become a millionaire overnight. Instead, he became someone who calmly eats cereal with milk, knowing one bad headline won't destroy his life. Sometimes the most grown-up financial win is simply not blowing yourself up. If you recognized a little bit of yourself in Max, don't worry. We've all been that person with one genius stock at some point. The key is meeting your Paul in time, or at least watching this video. Subscribe, hit like if you want more stories like this, and until next time, may your portfolio be as boring as a Sunday evening. See you!